It's the end of the world as we know it. Part 3. Man keeps falling in the Resistance franchise. So it's me, Liana K, coming to you from an upscale shithole in the Distillery District. We're going to find out what's next for the Resistance games. And based on the ending of Resistance 2, I'm honestly not sure where we're going to go. And if you're not sure why I'm standing way out here with everything in the back, it's because the battery on the camera died and we're standing near a power outlet. Kind of fitting in this game about the end of the world, but let's see what we got. Check it out.
Resistance is a big franchise for PlayStation, so they shelled out big coin to rent a building that looks like it survived the Blitz. Only in Toronto do you have to pay extra for a place to look dirty. Then they personalized the space with lighting, kind of like the Chimera version of that scene from Dumbo with pink elephants. Only some of these pink elephants look a bit like boobs. Hey, I'm right at home. See, I get right down to business, trying out Resistance 3 in 3D with the PlayStation Move sharpshooter attachment, because plastic submachine guns are totally in for fall. If the screens look funny to you, you're not drunk. Yet. That's just what the 3D looks like without the glasses. But yes, things are shooting at you through walls. Eep! And the illustrious panel of invited game journalists likes it. Only hardcore gamers would leave an open bar stocked with free drinks completely untouched. Full disclosure, I had 2. But those drinks didn't help me avoid a nasty case of sharpshooter shoulder. Aiming that gun for more than 20 minutes hurts like a bitch. If you want to play for a long time, prop your arms up on pillows. And a final warning before we dive in, gaming is no excuse for plumber butt. So dress appropriately. Being a crack shot does not mean we need a shot of your crack. And now, over to me.
So this manly-looking sucker is the sharpshooter for the PlayStation Move, and it's really fun. It really gets you into the game, but I've discovered an issue with me using it. First of all, it gets a bit heavy as you're playing. That's no problem. You can just solve that problem by propping your arms up with pillows. But I have these rinky-dink little hands, and the buttons on the side, this triangle button, that's what opens up your radial weapons menu, and I was having trouble reaching it because I have these teeny little hands. So I think Sony needs to manufacture a female version of the sharpshooter for us of little hands, but if they make it pink, I'm going to track them down and punch them in the balls.
Incoming!
So we've determined Marcus Smith, whose pretentious title is creative director.
I am no mere director.
Yeah.
I'm a creative director.
You're an artiste. Yeah.
That's right.
But he's the dude who's going to talk to us about Resistance 3. Is it okay to call you the dude?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Alrighty.
I'm from California.
There you go. Home of the dude.
Home of the dude.
Yeah. So the ending of Resistance 2
Yes?
was quite final.
That's one way of putting it.
Yeah. We said adieu to, or a pleasure serving with you, to Nathan Hale.
Indeed. Yeah, so if anybody watching hasn't played Resistance 2, you should do it now.
Right.
Because we will say, Nathan Hale, the protagonist, gets killed at the end.
But I thought the doctor was dead too.
You may have thought that.
Yeah.
The only thing that would make you think that is if you read a possible suicide note by the good doctor. However, that would mean that you would expect him to actually go through with it.
Okay.
And his personality is one that...
He's a douchebag.
He fancies himself much more important than somebody who could merely off themselves.
So he's a megalomaniac.
A little bit, yeah.
So we're following Capelli now?
We are. We're following Joseph Capelli, who is the one who killed Nathan Hale at the Resistance.
Yeah.
I feel like we're giving away everything, but, you know,
Well,
whatever.
this is the tricky thing with Resistance. It's a gameplay-heavy game, but it's also a story-heavy game.
Yeah.
So for someone... Obviously, you go back and play Resistance and Resistance 2.
Yeah.
So for somebody jumping on 3,
Yeah.
what do you need to know?
You basically need to know that there is a alien race known as the Chimera. And in 1908, during the Tunguska event, where a meteor hit Russia, there was a virus attached. And that virus infected humans and basically turned them into this alien race, this kind of hybrid between Chimera and human. And they just spread, and they grew an army, and they excavated these towers that had been placed in Earth millions of years ago. So this was thought out, and they're basically taking over the Earth, and humans are having a hard time of it. Mm-hmm. So Resistance 3, we'll definitely tell the story in a way that people new to the franchise will get it. But that's a challenge. How do you do that? How do you kind of ease people in? I think we did a pretty good job of kind of like, here's what happened before, previously on. So story-heavy game, yes. We wanted to tell the story of how humanity was surviving, something that was kind of missing from the previous Resistance, which focused on more military.
Yeah.
So 4 years later, cut to the chase, you're Joseph Capelli, you've got a family, you're no longer in the military, and you have to go save the Earth, but now you're just a dude.
Right.
Another dude.
We're back to the dude.
We're back to the dude.
Well, I was actually going to ask you, where do you go from slaughtering 80 million people?
Yeah, where do you go from that? That is really an interesting question. We gave Joseph Capelli kind of a storyline.
Yeah.
He's like a gunslinger. It's kind of the way to look at it. You know, you've got this guy who's really good at killing, and then he settles down, realizes the futility of his killing ways, and starts trying to have a normal life, whatever that is, in these conditions. And
so
then
he's a different guy from the badass from Resistance 2.
he is definitely a different guy. He's the same guy, but he's much more well-rounded. We're able to tell more of his story.
Right.
So yeah, we have a lot more elements of that human side. You go on a journey from Oklahoma to New York City, and along the way you're going to meet other survivor groups, and how each one of them is reacting is kind of a different facet of humanity, and not all of those facets are good. So that's important.
Is it more of an organic travel around the world? Because 2 jumped like continent to continent. You ended up in like Norway and the U.S. I'm like,
Yeah,
what city
right.
am I in?
Yeah, you kind of jumped around a lot in 2. So Resistance 1 took place exclusively in England, but jumped around in England quite a bit. You went to places like Grimsby. I mean, one of the weird things about Resistance is when you go to places, you don't go to like the popular place. You go to like the weird places. So Resistance 2, yeah, you jumped around a lot in the United States. You went to Iceland a couple different times. Resistance 3 is such a different game in terms of it's real post-apocalyptic. It's real, you don't have a lot of resources, and the Chimera have taken over. So travel is really, really difficult.
So I didn't imagine it when I was playing that it's much more of an ammo hoarder than the second game.
No, we're looking to give people as many tools as possible to dispense the enemies.
Right.
We're not going to starve the player needlessly. We don't want you to use all the same weapons over and over again, but we...
Oh, yeah, you do have to shift around.
Yeah, and one of the things is we have a weapon upgrade system now that encourages you to use other weapons and kind of explore and see what they have to...
A little bit of Ratchet and Clank sneaking into this?
Oh, for sure. I mean, unabashedly,